Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Friday, August 5th, and you can see a nice start to the day. A few clouds out there to the west, looking west here from the screenshot. And we have some showers and thunder showers that may try to develop just out ahead of the cold front. Right now, most of the activity is across the northern parts of Missouri into Illinois and Iowa. And if we look at the headlines, chance of a thunderstorm today, I think the best chances of rain are going to be across the eastern part of the state over into southwest Ontario. But even there, I think generally it'll be under a quarter of an inch of rain unless you get under a pretty good thunderstorm, and that's a possibility. We have a great weekend coming up starting later this afternoon. Once that front moves through, we'll see things dry out, and we'll have temperatures in the low 80s all weekend, maybe mid 80s, but probably low to mid 80s with much lower humidity and dew points. And again, that'll feel nice out there. So a great weekend to get out. Next chance of rain looks like it'll arrive on Tuesday as more warm to hot air moves in. In fact, I think we'll have several more days, at least 2 or 3 days next week at least, where we could once again hit 90 degrees, and we hit 90 in quite a few areas yesterday. If we look at the normals, the normal high for today is 83, the normal low is 59, and yesterday we had a high of 92.3 here in Breckenridge with a low of 66 and no precipitation. 1 year ago we had a high of 74 and a low of 55. If we look at the conditions around the area from yesterday, again, most areas did hit 90 across Michigan. The only exception would be Marlette and Newaygo. They just fell just a little bit short. Temperatures were up to 92 degrees at Lansing, Henderson, and Breckenridge. So a very warm day out there. And if we look at the current conditions, very warm out there this morning with temperatures mainly in the low 70s and quite humid. Again, waiting for that cold front to possibly bring us a few showers here today. If we look at the conditions around the state, temperatures in the 60s across the southern part of the state, and some 50s show up across northern lower Michigan back into the UP. But you still see 70s off here in Wisconsin as that cold, cooler air hasn't quite arrived there yet. So until that front moves through, we'll have a chance of showers or thunder showers. Looking at satellite, you can see some MCS complexes blow up across Missouri and Iowa and move into Illinois, and then they begin to weaken. We're going to be looking at some of this area here to the northwest of mid-Michigan and to see if some of that develops this morning. We could have redevelopment here during the early afternoon hours before that front moves through. And again, especially across, I think, the thumb area into southwest Ontario. And on radar, you can see the most significant showers and thunderstorms are well off to our south. But again, there was actually, in my pictures in a way here, but there's a little bit of development here just north of Traverse City up towards the top of the peninsula. And again, we expect that there's a chance that more is going to develop here once we get into the morning as that cold front begins to lean into the area by early this afternoon. If we look at 90-degree days, yep, we picked up some more across the area. Breckenridge now up to 10, Jasper, Middleton at 8, so quite a few 90-degree days. Remember, last year we had 1. My forecast for the Breckenridge area is around 15 for the year, and I think we'll add to that again next week. Until then, though, it looks like plenty of just low to mid 80s until we get into probably Wednesday. Tuesday could be in the upper 80s, but we'll look at that closer once we get a little bit nearer to the event. If we look at the moisture conditions compared to normal, you can see not much rain so far in the month of August through 5 days or 4 plus today. Only a couple of hundredths of an inch of precipitation at Lansing and at Henderson. And of course, on the first day of the month, St. Thomas picked 89 hundredths of an inch up. Everyone else has not seen any measurable rainfall so far. And again, hopefully we can add to that. We'll have 2 chances of rain again this morning, but it's not a very high chance. And then as we get into Tuesday with that warm air. If we look at the weather map this morning, that cold front's going to be moving through the area. But right now, we don't expect much in the way of showers and thunderstorms. Then as we get into Saturday, that cold front will be off to our southeast. High pressure will dominate, and that'll bring a little bit cooler air with highs in the 80s. But the big thing, it'll be much less humidity and dew points. If we look at the weather map for Sunday, high pressure system will be in control. But once that high moves off to the east, we're going to see warmer conditions on the backside of that move in once we get into Monday or Tuesday. And I think we'll have at least mid 80s at that point before the real warm air moves in later on. If we look at precipitation over the next 72 hours, we'll have, again, the best chances across the eastern part of the state into southwest Ontario. And again, most of the heaviest precipitation will be well south into Missouri down towards the Carolinas, where they'll have some tropical moisture present at that time. And if we look at the 7-day outlook here, you can see, again, Our next batch of precipitation will come in on Tuesday, but for this morning, the heaviest precipitation remains well off to our northwest if it develops. And again, for much of the area here, as we get in through 7 days, you can see only about a tenth to a quarter of an inch of rain. So really not a real ideal looking rainfall setup here over the next week or so. And if we look at the extended outlook, you can see over the next 6 to 10 days, we're going to be warmer than normal across much of the eastern U.S. with the highest probabilities across the Great Lakes into the mid-Atlantic states down to the Carolinas. And as far as precipitation, looks like once we get into next week, we may be able to see a little bit more in the way of moisture. That would probably be from midweek on into next weekend. We might be looking at a couple of systems that could bring us some rain at that time. But until then, very little rain expected here over the next 5 to 7 days. And if we look at the next slide, you can see we have the Agro Expo coming up in St. John's on the 16th, 17th, and the 18th. And MAC will have a couple of booths there, so hopefully we'll see you there. Thanks for stopping by and have yourself a great day, a great weekend, and 73s to all.